Hello and welcome back to the South Bristol Chess Club Championships 2013, and we remain in Group B for an interesting encounter between Gerry Jepps with the white pieces and Tyson Mordue with the black pieces. The players are ready to begin, so let's go over and take a look.
Tyson Mordue, he's stronger than I am, so I think I'm best sticking to the lines that I know. So we'll start off with 1d4.
Knight f6.
Tyson's replied knight f6. So I'm going to play knight c3, hoping for d5, in which case I'll then play e4, and I'm back into gambit lines that I know.
Yes, Gerry's played 2 knight c3, the Verasov, so I'm going to play the sharp line with c5.
Tyson's replied c5. So what do I do here? Well, I'm going to play d takes c5.
In a rapid play game earlier on, I played e6.
Tyson's replied e6. So I don't know the theory of this opening, but I'm going to play bg5, playing the knight. Seems like a good developing move.
e6. Gerry's played bishop g5. In a quick play game he played b4, which wasn't particularly great, despite the fact I blundered a piece away on move 7. Bishop takes c5.
Tyson's replied bishop takes c5, recapturing his pawn. Perhaps I've got to look out for like queen a5 check at some point where the bishop on g5 might be hanging loose. But I think what I'll do to avoid that is to play queen d2 with a view to an early queenside castling.
Queen bella 6.
Castles.
Bishop takes f2.
So Tyson's taken the pawn on f2. He's now threatening to win the knight on g1. So I'm going to play knight h3, attacking the bishop.
Okay, this is a sort of gambit position. I've got to be careful that the bishop's loose, and also be careful about white playing knight a4, usurping the queen's defence of the bishop. I've only got one decent move here, and that's to play hector 6, because if he plays bishop takes knight, I play bishop e3, winning his queen.
Tyson's replied h6, attacking my bishop. The one thing I can't fall for is bishop takes f6, when Tyson will reply bishop e6, winning my queen. Here's an interesting idea. I'm going to play e3, putting his bishop on pre.
Okay, I've got to play h takes g5.
Tyson played h takes g5, which I think was forced. And I can recapture knight takes f2.
Okay, I've got to do something about my development here, so d5 is the natural move.
Tyson's played d5. Now I've got a significant lead in development, and the traditional way to capitalise on a lead in development is to open up the position. So I'm going to play e4.
Choices here, d4 or castles. Not too sure about d4 because of knight b5. I think I'll castle because I can save my g-pawn in a particular fashion.
Tyson castles. I don't want to let his queen's bishop into the game, so I'll go for a kingside attack with his queenside bottle up by playing e5.
Okay, he's played e5, which is a bit of a shame because I was hoping he's going to take lots of times on d5 to free my position. Now I've got the knight on f6 on pre and the pawn on g5, but I can defend both with knight h7.
Tyson plays knight h7, defending the pawn on g5. A good square for my knight on g4, and that's where it's going.
That's an excellent move by Gerry, because if he'd played h4 I'd have gone past with g4. Now he's threatening to play h4 and I can't go past. I'm very short of defensive pieces and space on the king's side, so before he goes h4 there's only one move I can play. I've got to play f5 to get some space back.
Tyson's replied f5. I don't want to let him kick my knight away and get those pawns advancing, so I will capture on passant. He takes f6.
Gerry's taken that en passant correctly. Now if I think I take back with the g pawn, he just plays h4 to great effect. So regardless, I've got to play knight takes f6.
Tyson chooses to recapture with a knight, playing knight takes f6, presumably hoping to exchange off the knight on g4. I can regain my pawn with queen takes g5, but I think I'll delay that. I think I'll play a different move instead, h3. And now, if Tyson exchanges the knight, that opens up the h-file of my rook and gives me a very significant attack indeed.
Okay, that's a pawn to rook 3 by Gerry, and unfortunately it's a good one, because I was hoping he'd play knight takes knight. No, I was hoping he'd play queen takes pawn, whereupon I'd have gone knight takes knight, queen e3 check, followed by queen f4, and I think I'd have been okay. Now, I can't exchange knights on g4 because after h takes g4, he's got an open h file for the attack, and he's threatening queen takes g5 anyway, and I'm really not sure what to do in this position. He's got knight e5 available in certain lines, bishop d3 is coming along. I'm feeling rather desperate here. I've already taken about 5 minutes. I'm just going to try giving the extra pawn back and hoping that can achieve the exchange of queens. David 4.
Tyson doesn't exchange off the knight, but instead he advances in the centre with d4. I'm going to exchange off knights. Knight takes f6 check.
That's a slight surprise that it's exchanged knights. Well, to keep the pawn structure sensible, I've got to recapture with g takes f6.
Tyson recaptures with the pawn, g takes f6, and now I regain my sacrificed pawn, queen takes d4.
It's very kind of him to play queen takes d4. He'd have probably done better to keep the tension by playing knight to e4. Now I can exchange queens and gain a tempo, but with the development of my knight, queen takes d4.
Tyson exchanges, queen takes d4, reply rook takes d4.
c6, tempo hitting the rook.
Knight c6.
That's slightly annoying, because if I give him one move, he'll develop his bishop and then double rooks on the d file, and I won't be able to oust that. So I'm going to have to offer the exchange of rooks now, even though it means my knight goes to the back rank temporarily.
Tyson contests the open file with rook d8. I'm going to defend that with knight e5.
Knight b5 by Gerry, that's a good move. I was hoping he'd exchange rooks on d8, and after I play knight takes d8, I can just go bishop d7 to c6, and my bishop's on a good line. Alternatively, there was b6 followed by bishop b7, but this is more irritating. After I chop rooks, when he takes on d6, he's hitting the bishop on c8 and the pawn on b7, so I can't move the bishop, and I don't really want to have knight against bishop in an already fairly open position. So I've got a little problem here. I think I'm going to have to provoke an exchange by playing a6. Always reluctant to play pawn to rook 3, but I think it's necessary on this occasion. a6.
Tyson attacks the knight with a6, which is the move I expected him to play. That forces an exchange of rooks. Rook takes d8 check.
Takes d8.
Right. Tyson captures with the knight. Knight takes d8. And I'm going to risk knight c7. Runs a little bit of a risk of getting the knight captured, but it gains a tempo. I haven't got time to work it out. Knight c7.
Knight c7 as expected, and I want to play either rook a7 or rook b8, but I'm getting a bit short of time. Rook a7 might be the better move, but I'm a bit worried about knight e8 hitting the pawn on f6. And if I've played rook a7, I can't play king f7 because knight d6 check is just a simple fork. Darn, that means I'm going to have to play rook b8.
Rook b8 is forced. Now bishop c4, attacking the pawn on e6.
Bishop c4, a bit of a double-edged move because although it's attacking e6, I want to play king f7, and he's also giving me a tempo for b5, hitting his bishop along the way. I don't think bishop c4 is that good an idea, but I'm forced to play king f7.
Tyson defends with king f7. I want to get the other rook into the game. If I play h4 and he captures, then the rook runs riot down the king's side. I'm going to play h4.
Yes, I was slightly worried about that. Okay, first thing to note is if he carries on with Hector 5, my king's already in the square of the pawn, so I can just nip back to Hector 8 to blockade if necessary. My question is, do I play g4 or do I carry on with my plan of trying to trap the knight on c7? I think I'll carry on with my plan of trying to trap the knight because b5 is a game of a tempo.
Tyson hits the bishop with b5, so I bring the bishop back to b3.
Okay. Only just noticed that after rook b7 I've just left the a6 pawn on prey, so I'll push that one on, threatening to trap his bishop, and f5.
Tyson continues to queenside pawn advance, threatening to trap my bishop with a5, so I respond with a4.
That's a shame. Well, I think I may as well take that one and then try rook b4.
Bishop takes a4, and I recapture with the bishop. Bishop takes a4.
Yeah, check to that. Well, I don't think I've got anything else to do anyway, and I'm still a little bit short on time, so rook b4 it will be.
Tyson harasses the bishop with rook b4. The bishop is hanging loose, so I have to move it or defend it. I'm going to move it with check to e8, bishop e8 check.
Okay, well if I go king e7 I'm probably outside the square of the pawn, so that's exceedingly dangerous, so I think I need to go towards the pawn, king g7.
Tyson plays king g7, and now I release the rook down the h file with h takes g5.
Well, I'm not quite sure which I'm happier to see, because if he played h5 he'd have had a pawn, but I would have still had a decent pawn structure. After I recapture this I'm going to have 3 isolated pawns and 2 pieces sitting on the back rank. This really doesn't look particularly appetising, but I'm just going to have to play it. Lord knows how I'm going to win this one. F takes g5.
Tyson recaptures with f takes g5. And now I play bishop h5.
Possibly threatening a rather inconvenient knight e8 check, because I might have to go to the h file and there could be nasty discoveries sitting around. I can't see much else to play other than rook h4, just to cut that out. It's going to be an exchange of rooks and a rather simplified ending, but if I don't get rid of some material here, I could be short of time, and I've done too much to think about, so I think I need to simplify the position. So rook h4.
Rook takes rook.
Simple recapture. G takes h4.
Tyson recaptures with a pawn, G takes h4. I haven't got a lot of time to think, but I'm going to play bishop d4.
I think that's a small error. It's far more natural to play bishop f3, because now when I go king f6, I'm going to have king g5, gaining a tempo on the bishop. So king f6.
I'll bring the bishop back down.
He's lost a tempo there, so I'll carry on king e5.
Yes, Tyson is trying to win this ending with his king. It's very active. King e5. Better get my king towards the centre. King d2.
And onward, king f4, threatening h3, which is going to be a little bit embarrassing.
Now Tyson plays king f4. And I've got to be careful here, because if he plays h3, I can't recapture because he wins the bishop. Although I could play king e2, defending the bishop, and he can't play bishop a6 because the knight's defending that square. But I think what I want to do is I want to get the bishop right out of the way, so I'm going to play bishop a8.
Right, bishop a8. What an incredible move. I'm really not sure what to do about that. It's quite a good piece with the fact that it's on all the serious squares on the board. Trouble is I can't play bishop b7 because he just chops that and then takes on e6. And I haven't got much choice about this. I'm going to have to play e5 and sort out what to do about this long diagonal later. So e5.
Now Tyson's getting his other pawn going, e5. Let's get the knight into the game. Knight d5 check.
Well, I was headed for g3 anyway, so king g3.
Tyson plays king g3. I can come back knight e3, so that g-pawn is now defended twice. And I have an active knight, a bishop on the long diagonal, and the king not too far away from the centre.
Okay, I still need to do something with my bishop here. Not many squares to put it on. G4 is no good. F5 is just on prey. Don't see what it does on e6 or d7. Don't see what it does on a6. The bishop, believe it or not, is good on a8, so I think I'm going to have to play bishop b7 and exchange it. It doesn't matter that after that he's got knight f5 check, because I can still take on g2, and when he plays knight takes h4, I've got my king on f2, and it's 2 squares diagonally from his knight, which means it's going to take him at least 3 moves to getting around to checking my king again. Meanwhile, my king is facing his, and my e-pawn could be running. This might be slightly better for me, but we're both running short of time, and the material's getting less and less.
Tyson played bishop b7. That forces the exchange of my nice bishop. So bishop takes b7.
Straightforward recapture, knight takes b7.
Tyson recaptures knight takes b7. I haven't got time to think. c3.
Not entirely sure what that's about, but let's get me knight off a knight 2, knight to c5.
Knight c5. Tyson plays knight c5. Now I can play b4, kicking the knight. Do I want to do that? I don't know. I haven't got time to think. Let's play knight f5 check.
Forcing more simplification. Well, nothing I can do that. I already had this idea in mind. King takes g2.
Knight, knight take h4. Check.
King f2 was planned.
Tyson plays king f2. Try and get the knight into play. Knight d6.
Not entirely sure if that's the right square for the knight, so this puts on my pawn gets to e3 rather quickly. So first of all e4.
Tyson plays e4. Oh dear, that pawn is very fast. Knight f4.
e3 check is an obvious move.
Tyson plays e3 check. There's only one move, king d1.
Don't think that king d1 is right because it means I can play e2 with check if ever his knight goes anywhere. I can't play knight david 3 because after he takes it, it's check, and also his knight will be controlling e1. But I can try knight e6 because if he goes knight takes e6, e2 check wins.
I can come back knight 2.
Well, he didn't fall for that one, so I'll just put the knight back on the good square again. Knight c5.
Tyson plays knight c5. I don't like the look of b4 because I don't think I can stop both the a and the e pawns. This is desperation. c4.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Knight d3 now looks very, very good because you can't defend the b2 square.
Tyson plays knight d3. I think this is quite lost. He's attacking my b pawn. I can play b3.
Okay, it doesn't matter that the pawn's moved with the square. It's the square itself I was interested in, and now I'm forcing a winning king and pawn ending. Knight b2 check.
Tyson plays knight b2 check. I play kc1. I think this is totally lost.
King Casper 1, king takes e for 2.
Tyson takes my knight, of course. King takes e2. I recapture on b2.
King takes b2. King d2.
Tyson plays king d2. The e pawn is, of course, unstoppable. c5.
And I'm queening before he does. c5, e2.
Tyson plays e2, of course. c6.
c6, e1 will have a queen.
Tyson queen's pawn. Game over.
Oh, thank you very much, he's resigned.
A hard-fought battle there then between the two players, and Gerry Jepps might be a little bit disappointed. He seemed to have a very good position starting off and going into the early part of the middle game, and seemed to have Tyson Mordue in some trouble. But somehow, he didn't press home the advantage, and Mordue got back into it, and when he does that, he's obviously very dangerous, and went on to win the game. So for Gerry Jepps, unfortunately with 2 defeats, that actually puts him out of being able to qualify for this group, as he had 0 points so far. And for Tyson Mordue, he steps up to 2 points and leads the group with Richard Garrett on 2 points each, and is now going to be out of those two who's going to qualify for this group. So a colossal game awaits in the 3rd round. Look forward to seeing you again soon.